My 37M wife, 34F, wants to back out of the divorce she filed. Not sure what to do. My wife of 12 years decided to divorce me earlier this year. We did marriage counseling and just about everything else you can do to save the marriage. I love my wife, but she apparently fell out of love 3 years ago according to her. We separated in March of this year. The separation was recommended by the marriage counselor after everything else failed. It was supposed to, I guess, show us our marriage from different angle by being separated. I ended up moving out of the house, and quite honestly I was much happier living by myself. I told my wife that I wouldn't file for divorce, and if she wanted to go down that route she can file. In May she finally filed for divorce. Honestly, I completely expected it coming after the separation experiment. I was hoping for a simple divorce like we talked about before we separated. We don't have a prenup in place since we basically both didn't have that much when we got married. They always say it doesn't matter how much you love or have mutual respect for your spouse, because during a divorce there are no limits. She initially wanted the house, her car, full custody of our daughters, $4,000 a month in CS, and a 6-figure alimony. My wife doesn't work since she's a full-time stay-at-home mom. I was never going to leave her without anything, but it sort of hurt me that she would try to get all those things knowing well that I would have barely anything left afterwards. Anyways, the lawyers have been negotiating for some time and I haven't had much contact with my wife unless it's about the girls. Last night my wife called me asking me if I would go to dinner because she wanted to talk. I accepted and we met for dinner at a restaurant. She expressed that she wanted to give our marriage another try. Her reasoning was that she was in a dark place before, and now she understands that she was the problem. She took 100% responsibility for our problems, which is very out of character for her. Ever since I've known her she doesn't apologize like ever. She also said that our daughters missed us living together, which I guess is true. After dinner she wanted to come back to my place, but I told her it wasn't a good idea. I told her that I would have to think about it. She started crying and begging me to come back. Eventually she calmed down and we went our separate ways. A few months ago I would have agreed to trying again without hesitation, but after the divorce process I'm not so sure anymore. The other thing is I know she's been on dates since our separation. She told one of our mutual friends who told her husband who told me. I personally haven't dated anyone because our divorce hasn't been finalized. Also, I'm enjoying living single with just my daughters. Ideally I would like to save this marriage for the sake of my daughters and the love for my wife, but at the same time I don't want to try again just to waste time ending up in our current situation again. My daughters prefer staying with me over their mom. I've never said anything negative about their mom to my daughters, and I try to leave them out of it completely. If you've had any experiences in trying to make your marriage work again for round 2, was it positive or negative? Is it worth revisiting, or do I just cut my losses and move on? Talk to your lawyer before making any decisions. What are the standards for child support and alimony in your state? Does pausing the divorce reset any clocks? Does your state have a set time that you have to be separated before you can divorced? You've already been married 10 years, so she's all set on Social Security. Are there any business interests she'll be entitled to if you are married longer? Any big paydays on the horizon? Can you go for 50-50 custody? Is your ex planning on getting a job? If you earn enough for $4,000 in child support and 6-figure alimony, shouldn't you be talking to professionals, your lawyer, your therapist, your accountant, not Reddit? The branch she was swinging to broke. She needs to find time to look for another branch. Screw that. Get rid of her, now. If you're not seeing a therapist then I highly recommend it now. They can help guide you through your thoughts. But honestly, from a stranger's perspective, I go through with the divorce. You sound happier single from what you described. And from what you also noted about your wife. You may always doubt whether she came back for you or whether she came back because she realized she couldn't find anyone else dating-wise. Other than that, I'd keep communications strictly through lawyers. And don't stay just for the kids, they know when people aren't happy. Don't show them they should stay in unhappy relationships. Honestly, I think you'd need to try a second round of counseling before you gave marriage another shot. It sounds an awful lot like she wanted to be separated and still taken care of financially by you. Not only that, but she wanted full custody of the girls? She probably got a call from her lawyer telling her there was no way in hell that all that was happening. I would go back to a counselor and figure out exactly what her being the problem meant and figure out if you want to risk it happening again. If you want to give it another shot then that's up to you, but if you're happier where you're at, I wouldn't. Pop quiz. Why the sudden change in heart? 1. She realized she wasn't going to get everything that she wanted from you in the divorce. 2. She was sleeping with another guy, who broke it off and told her to kick bricks, so she's seeing if she can get back with you. 3. She honestly had an amazing epiphany, brought on by your kids' comments and realized she really does love you and wants to try and work it out. Answer. Number 2. It's always number 2, which is what she thinks you are. If it feels off, it's off. Don't trust her. Don't go back unless it feels good. But if you are going back because you feel bad, then no. I 19F have messed up my whole life and don't know what to do since I dated my 23M boyfriend. I have made a huge mess of my life and don't know what to do. I 19F started dating my 23M boyfriend 3 years ago. When we first started dating, we didn't tell anyone because he said they wouldn't want us together. Eventually my sister, who a year older than me, found out. I begged her to not tell our parents. They eventually found out and were extremely mad. It caused a lot of arguments and my boyfriend told me to stand up for myself, tell them to make a choice to accept me with him or never talk to me again. Me and my parents never really go along much, and let's just say in the last argument I left and went to my sister's, who moved out a couple weeks before. I stayed with her for about a week and then my boyfriend told me to move in with him. He said it made more sense and that I wouldn't be a burden to my sister by staying at her place. I agreed and thought it was a good idea. My sister was hesitant about it. She kept asking me if I was sure it was a good idea since we only been dating a year at this point, but I insisted it was a great idea. After moving in with him it was okay for a little while, but then I noticed he get angry very easily. One day I was cleaning up after food and drop a plate and it shattered on the floor. He lost screaming and shouting about how I couldn't do anything right, that it was simple to just put the plate away. He was screaming so much that I started getting scared, and so I picked up my phone to text my sister. He then grabbed my phone from my hand and threw against the wall, making a hole. I started crying at this point. He apologized after an hour or two and said he doesn't know what came over him, that he'd been so stressed lately. I never said anything, and the next day I drove to my sister and explained what happened. She was shocked and angry and wanted me to leave him. I was thinking of breaking up with him in that moment. But that evening when I was going to he had our place really romantic and he said he was so sorry and he would never do it again and begged me to give him another chance, so I stupidly did. Fast forward a few months, I was going to a concert with my sister as she had gotten me tickets for my last birthday. It was a singer my boyfriend hated, so I didn't go with him. We had a great day, but when I went home that evening he lost it, screaming again and throwing everything, saying that he couldn't believe I would do that to him, that I shouldn't be going to concert without him because that, acting like I'm single and I will cheat. I swore to him I would never, but he wasn't listening to me, so we were screaming at each other and suddenly he threw a punch at my face. I was so shocked and started crying. He seemed shocked too and started crying, saying he is so sorry and that his ex had cheated on him and how it had left him with trust issues. I left that night and stayed with my sister for a little bit. She didn't want me to go back, but he came over and begged me to come back and I did. A few months passed and he said he got a job offer a few hours away and he had to move. He asked to come with him. I didn't want to leave because all my family and friends are all here, but he said we'd be so much happy if we moved away from everyone and got a fresh start. I mentioned all this to my sister and she told me she didn't think it was a good idea, that it was too much a risk if I left because if we ever got into a disagreement I have nowhere to go. I told her it'd been months since anything like that happened and I think he gotten over, but she still thought I shouldn't go. That evening when I came home my boyfriend asked me why I always ran to my sister about our business. I said I didn't, but he said every time we disagree about something I was always going to her, that we need to have private discussions and I couldn't always be running to her. I apologized for making him feel like I was doing that and said I try not to as much. We did end up moving away, and that when everything went bad. About 2 weeks after moving I was looking for a job, but he told me I didn't need one, that he will make enough money for the both of us. I told him I need a job to occupy myself. He got angry, saying it looked like he couldn't take care of me if I got a job, and after a lot of arguing I eventually gave up the idea. Another day after, in disagreement because of something stupid, he punched me in the stomach and slammed my head against a wall. I rang my sister. I hadn't seen her as much since we left, but we were still close. My boyfriend saw I was calling and lost it. He had grabbed my phone and smashed it on the floor. He shouted so much, screaming about how I need to keep our business private and that how can he trust me with anything if I kept crying to people about it. He said he felt he couldn't trust me. About 3 weeks after this my sister came over because she was worried that I hadn't been calling and she couldn't get through to me. I decided not to tell her what happened this time, as it always made my boyfriend mad, so I lied and said that I broke my phone by dropping it and hadn't been able to call. She asked was everything okay, and I said yes. My boyfriend came over to us and then said everything would be perfect if she kept out of our business. She said she just wanted to make sure I was okay and that if I was in danger it is her business. My boyfriend then asked can I come into our bedroom for a moment so we can talk. He told to make my sister leave and to tell her never come back, that she doesn't like him and that I need to choose now once and for all, him or her. I loved him and I told my sister she need to go, but she knew something was wrong and kept asking is everything okay. That was when my boyfriend told her to get out now. She said no, not until she knew I was okay. I told her to leave, that I didn't need her help now. My boyfriend was happy I said this. He said after he was relieved I finally chosen him for once. It eventually ended in an argument with my boyfriend and me against my sister. We both said some hurtful things and in the end she said she will go, but if I ever need her at all don't be afraid to call, that she will always answer. Was so angry I said I will never need her again. I saw the hurt in her eyes when I said this, but she said nothing and left. That was 6 months ago. Now ever since that day everything been going bad. My boyfriend sold my car, so now I have no way to leave anymore. He did get me a new phone, but his phone plan is on. Yet now nearly every day we argue and it always end with him beating me. I tried to leave once and regret afterwards when he caught me because he beat me so bad I thought he was gonna kill me. Last week he started choking me. I thought I was gonna pass out from it. I found out I was pregnant 3 days ago and I don't know what to do. I want to leave him for final this time because I realize everything that been happening now and I can't bring a child into this type of life, but I have nowhere to go. I want to call my sister to apologize, but I don't know will she answer me since it been 6 months since the fight. I have really messed up and I have no way out of it. Small update. I have been read all of your comments. I think I will try to give my sister a call, but I have to wait until my boyfriend goes to work or leaves in case he hears me call. Another small update. My boyfriend went to the store and has been gone a little over an hour now, so he will be back soon. So I finally rang my sister while I still had the confidence to do it. I tried ringing twice with no answer, so I left a voicemail and apologized and asked can she ring me back when she get it. She rang back nearly right away. She said she didn't answer the call as she didn't know the number. The reason is because a different one than I used to have, and hadn't expected to be me. We talked for a while. I apologized a lot for everything that happened and she said that it was okay. She said the argument did also bother her a lot. She wanted to ring me afterwards but couldn't since that phone was broken. She said wanted to come over a few times these last few months but was afraid she would make it worse for me or that I wouldn't talk to her. She said she's so happy I rang and that I finally want to leave for good. She said that she has been so afraid that she was going to hear that something bad had happened to me one day. We talked for a bit more and I explained more of everything that has happened. She wanted to come pick me up straight away, but I told her she couldn't, that he would be back way before she got here. We agreed that she will come tomorrow once he leaves for work. Once he leaves for work I will gather all my stuff and pack a bag. I don't want to do it now just in case he see them when he get back, because then he will know I am leaving. I know this may sound messed up to say, but I still do love him in some way. I'm not sure how, but I do. Thank you all so much for the comments and support. I don't think I will be able to update you anymore today. I will let you know tomorrow. Your boyfriend is an abusive groomer. You can't see it because he groomed you when you were near enough a child, so you think it's normal. You need to leave him safely. As soon as possible. Reach out to your parents or your sister. If they were against him in the beginning, and it sounds like they were, then they had your best interests at heart. Do not say anything to your boyfriend or he may use violence against you to stop you leaving. Abusers don't like their victims standing up for themselves because they don't like to lose their power over the victim, so he may well try any means to get that power back. Please do this as soon as you can without leaving yourself open to harm. Good luck. #CALL your family. They probably know the basic situation, and have waiting for you to reach the point you're actually willing to quit defending him, and walk away from the mess. You need to leave the house for any reason and go to the police station. I know you said you don't have a car anymore, so another option is to wait until he's at work and call the police. Let them know everything you've told us. Call your sister and your parents, they will come and get you. You obviously have access to the internet somehow since you're posting this. Can you email your sister? Whatever you do, don't let him know that you're pregnant. And honest, I'd recommend aborting the pregnancy because you don't want to have any ties to this psycho. Your boyfriend is abusive, and started a relationship with you when you were 16 and he was 20. You need to contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Their website is, and you can call them at 1-800-799-7233, or you can text START to 88788. You can do online chats on the website, or use the other methods to reach someone who can help you figure out what your options are, and put together a plan to get you to safety. Call your sister. There's no try here. Call her and have her come and get you and leave with her. File the police report at the police station and leave the phone he gave you at home. Tell them everything. You are young and unfortunately this type of thing happens. It isn't your fault. For your safety, be careful. Mike, 29F. Partner, 34M. Farts all the time, and it's hurting our relationship. What can I do? Edit. Well, I was seeking help, but this is getting made out to be a fart fetish post because apparently that's a problem this subreddit has. And now I'm thoroughly disgusted at the idea that people may be getting off on my real-life problems. I was just trying to get help for a 5+ year relationship. Thanks to those that did reply with advice and help. I appreciate it. Mid-conversation, I'm getting interrupted by this grown man, scrunching up face, like a toddler trying to shit his diaper, and FFFBRRBRBRBTBTBTBTB dude. I'm losing my mind typing this out. Lol. I walk into a room, hot and bothered and looking for action, and I get hit with a stench field, like a force field for any degree of attraction. Or I just get turned off earlier on when he's farting and makes that, grunt afterwards. Oh my god. I would literally take him to a doctor with force and tell him he can come home once he's figured out what's wrong with his toddler bowel. That, or he can have his own little room, biohazard room in the basement. Raise your standards? You need to have a serious sit-down discussion with him like an actual adult. Tell him this is seriously causing you to lose physical attraction to him, and I'm sure that'll stick, whereas your previous complaints haven't, because it has yet to negatively impact him. But if he's not getting sexy time because he'd rather stink bomb his lover in the bedroom, stop fucking him. The fact that anyone is telling you what to feed him is fucking ridiculous. He's a grown man. You aren't his mommy. If you've talked to him and told him that it turns you off and that you find it disgusting, and he still refuses to stop, then you have to decide if you can live with a partner who disregards what you want, and who is actually very disgusting and disrespectful. He's eating something his body doesn't tolerate. Try to exclude food until you find it. You're not supposed to fart 247. And you can also tell him that if he won't excuse himself to the bathroom, you can't live with him. But find the root problem first. He knows. He understands. He doesn't care. My husband, 35M, takes my 30F emotions as personal attacks. Is it me or him? My husband and I have been together for 7 years. Yesterday I received a life-changing medical diagnosis. I have a handful of appointments coming up to understand next steps. At dinner I was expressing my fears and anxiety about everything, and he got upset with me. He said, "I feel like you're just saying this to make me upset with you, and I don't want to be," and he left the room. I gave him a few hours of space, then went and asked for a hug. He gave me a hug, then said, "I feel like you're here to start drama." Granted, I am overly anxious and tend to be a pessimistic person. I can't help but be hurt and wonder if this is normal. This is a constant occurrence with him. Edit to add. I asked him if he wants to leave me based on this diagnosis, and he said, "It sounds like you're projecting, as if you would leave me if this happened to me." You had a life-changing medical diagnosis and your life partner is upset with you about your expressing feelings of anxiety? I feel like you are trying to upset me equals I am upset. It is him. I can understand needing some time alone to process one's own side of being concerned about one's partner and asking for a bit. I cannot understand being upset about my partner expressing their feelings or asking for support. Furthermore, you attempted to mend the mood between you and he accused you of further causing problems? He is having major coping problems. Is this an everyday thing? Not to be an asshole here, but it kinda sounds like he's just emotionally weak, doesn't want to help you work through anything, and is exhausted by emotions period. Seems like big red flag, likely lack of empathy, avoidant, and honestly probably not very emotionally intelligent. You're going to wear yourself out trying to feel it, understand it, work through it all for the both of you. Hard pass for me. I would leave him. I know that's easier said than done, but I just feel sad for you. You're facing a challenger, and you can't even reach out to your partner. What good is he, romantic relationship-wise, to anyone then? Not you. It's him. He is having a hard time not letting your emotions affect him. And he is likely facing his own strong emotions based on your diagnosis. I recommend he finds a men's group to work through this. Significantly more men than women leave their spouse after a cancer diagnosis. I'm not saying op diagnosis has cancer, but why do some men run? Only there for the good times, not the bad? Your husband's reaction to you being scared of a life-changing medical diagnosis is to accuse you of starting drama? Nah, your vows likely included some variation of, in sickness or in health, correct? He's supposed to support you and offer some strength in this difficult time, but he's choosing instead to make it about how he feels. It's possible he's also scared, but he's expressing it in the worst way possible. He's the problem, not you. Why in the world can he not just listen to your fears and anxieties? He could even then share his fears, anxieties, or other emotions afterwards if he so wanted. Communication is normal. It's him.